Other issues: legal, financial, and technical issues relating to electronic acquisitions and processing work, as well as to other activities and services, are important enough to merit emphasis. One question that becomes increasingly important as one advances into the arena of electronic collection development is how users know material is even available. Providing lists of possible internet sites or creating and maintaining a library web page with direct links to the available resources works reasonably well as long as the list is manageable and resources are available to create and maintain the website. As the listing grows in length, grouping by subject is a frequent next step. A way to match the right resource to the user inquiry is through a federated search, again like WebFeet, which searches a chosen number of library resources simultaneously, including the catalog, presenting relevant results from all the resources. One of the caveats of using a federated search is not only can it provide links to e-resources that the customer wouldn't have used, the other side of that coin is that sometimes you'll get so many responses that it confuses the customer even more because there's just so much information. They really were looking for something to help them weed through the information, and they got exactly the opposite. In addition to the other issues we've addressed, there are legal issues involved in the use of electronic resources that cannot be ignored. These issues encompass both copyright and licensing agreements. Copyright involves several topics: fair use, preservation, and production. Electronic materials are easy to transmit, manipulate, and duplicate. These are the features that make them popular, but it also raises serious copyright issues. Achieving compliance with these copyright requirements and standards provides some ongoing challenges for libraries and information agencies. Some of the use issues are addressed by the licensing agreement accompanying the product or contract for online services. Rather like photocopying services, the library takes no responsibility for what a user does with the downloaded data after they leave the library. A final legal issue for libraries in relation to electronic resources is in the providing access to patrons with disabilities. Electronic resources that require the use of a mouse and do not have equivalent keyboard shortcuts, use small fonts, odd graphics, or colors in text, or have flashing audio or video components may not be useful for patrons with a disability unless the library provides special equipment. In this case, a print equivalent of a resource may be needed. Financial and technical considerations are what staff talk about the most after they address other concerns. In times of tight budgets, which seems to be the norm, budgeting for high-priced electronic materials represents a challenge. Balancing quality, quantity, and cost is the fundamental task of collection development staff. The fact that the electronic materials tend to be expensive for single-user agreements and even more expensive for multi-user agreements make it even more difficult to answer the question: how much benefit to how many users? Because electronic information access offers a potential of end users having full control of their searches and acquisitions of data, cost containment will likely become an important consideration for future initial cost. It will vary depending on how the organization decides to handle its connections with electronic services. The choice of connection should also include a close look at security of the connection in order to protect the privacy of users and their searches, and should include virus checking and a strong firewall. All options have implications for cost. One cost that is sometimes overlooked is user education, training, and support. That cost is ongoing, and depending on the turnover rate of users, may result in a large or small annual cost of training. As we're all aware, web materials are a mixed bag, ranging from solid scholarly materials to junk. Developing an appropriate collection of websites brings to mind the efforts to create and maintain the vertical file. Print vertical files contained free or inexpensive items, but were labor-intensive to maintain. Website collections are the same in those two regards. The differences in the usage: vertical files seldom did not, and certainly now do not, receive as much use as one would like. Because the web is popular with the public, usage is higher, and if the library provides network access to its electronic material, the material is probably available 24/7, which will further increase its use. The essentials of website evaluation are the same as for print. The challenges arise from the fact that there are fewer quick clues to quality in the web environment. Where web and print publishing differ is in the amount of promotional advertising material. That is not to say that print is not also filled with similar material, but it can be much more difficult to determine whether internet data is actually promotional and advertising material